Chris, did you ever play past the junior varsity level of basketball?
Well, I got asked to leave the varsity team. So, yes, I did play varsity basketball, but I got asked to leave.
And why did you get asked to leave?
Creative differences with the coach.
And what kind of creative differences?
He thought that I was probably a little bit better at football, and they were like, we don't want to risk you getting hurt and taking your time, so we need to get you out to run track and play football. So they said it's probably the best thing for you.
DC ain't even make JVT. I love it.
I 100% did, and I was asked to leave. And, there's a lot of people out there that know why and that can stay. It's not something we need to dig up.
It was fighting was involved, if I'm not mistaken, correct? You beat somebody. Basically, you bullied somebody.
I was a lover, not a fighter, and I have the daughter to prove it, So
Welcome to Big B Daily. No frauds allowed.
Hey, what's going on, man? This is your man, Brian Hanley. Welcome back to Big B Daily, man. We're live on TikTok. What's going on, TikTok? What's happening? We are live on YouTube. What's going on, YouTube? We got a lot to go over today, man. We got a real good show for you guys today, man. We are talking the 2024 Big B Daily NBA Awards. We're going to break that down. Then we've got the Lakers and the Kings last night. They both handled their business. And then it is the end of an era for Golden State, man. It is the end of an era for Golden State. We're going to go into that and a little bit more. And at the end, we're going to have our customary open mic session. We'll bring some people up and we'll just have a big discussion, man. So I appreciate everybody being here. Let me get through this real quick. The announcements, again, as always, TikTok. We're live on TikTok. We love you. Keep tapping the screen. We need at least 5,000 likes and 30 new follows. So if you're in here and you're not following, give us a follow. We appreciate that, man. We appreciate it a lot. Also, click on the link in the bio. Come over and subscribe to Big B Sports Talk, man. And subscribe to the live on YouTube. We appreciate you guys doing that. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Again, if you're on YouTube and you want to control the conversation, you know how to do that with Super Chats. It's at the bottom of your screen there. More than happy. We appreciate it. If you guys like what we're doing and want to support the show, you know how to do it. There's several different ways. Thanks for the gift, Black Guy. We appreciate it, man. I know, ain't that weird, Black Guy? Me saying thanks, Black Guy, but I love it. I love it, man. So I appreciate everybody being here, man. Let's get to this today. Let's get to this. So the first thing is we're going to cover, man, let's talk about it. And everybody, again, this is always participation with everybody, man. The 2024, we got the Big B Daily NBA Awards. And we're just going to go right down the list on who I think, and then if you guys disagree with it, let's just talk about it. MVP. Who would you guys have as the MVP of the NBA? The Big B Daily Awards MVP this year is Luka Doncic. Now, I know Joker. I am not disputing that. All I'm saying is we gave it to Joker a few years ago, and his team didn't have the best record. Okay? I mean, at what point do we give it to the guy that's having an outstanding career with the best numbers? I mean, Luka is that guy this year. He's just that guy. And that's my MVP this year. Don't call me biased because I live in Dallas, because I'm not even a Mavericks fan. But I'm giving it to Luka. I'm giving it to Luka. There's a lot of people that could have won it. Obviously, Jokic could have won. You could have went SGA. You could have went. I guess you could have said Embiid or before he got hurt. Some people are going to say Tatum, no, Tatum fell off. Their team didn't fall off, but he did. But for me, the MVP of the NBA this season is my man Luka. My man Luka. Let's move on. The next thing is we got Defensive Player of the Year. Look, I know a lot of people are going to say Rudy, and maybe you want Rudy to win, and maybe he deserves the win. But you know what? I'm doing unconventional wisdom here, and I'm going to say Wemby. I'm going to say Wemby is the defensive player of the year. That's who I'm going with. I know a lot of people's not going to like that, but I say Wemby is defensive player of the year. You know, for what he's done, what he can do, he's only going to get better too. But I say Wemby for defensive player of the year, man. He's a rim protector. He can defend multiple positions, and let Wemby put on another 25 to 30 pounds of muscle. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. But that's who I got for defensive player of the year. Sixth man of the year, Monk out of Sacramento. I don't even think it's a question. I don't think it's a question. You know, I think for him, what he does coming off the bench, providing that punch, is not like Jamal Crawford, but it ain't that far off. I think he's a better shooter than Jamal Crawford. Now, Jamal Crawford had an exceptional bag that Monk doesn't have, but as far as just coming off the bench and providing that big-time scoring punch, I think Maurice Monk is that guy. Sixth man of the year. Most improved player. Now, follow me on this. Follow me on this. I know there's going to be some people that think, what are you talking about, B? He's always been good. Yeah, he's been good, but he wasn't this good. Tyrese Maxey. Think about what Tyrese Maxey was last year compared to what he is this year. Tyrese Maxey. That's who I got as the most improved player. Think about what he did this year, especially before the All-Star break. And then once Embiid went out, he's just been incredible. He took his game up to another level. And that's what you want out of guys. Not saying he was a bad player before. I think a lot of people think when you say most improved, either they struggled the year before or they weren't as good the year before. No, doesn't mean that. It just means they took their game to another level. Tyrese Maxey took his game to another level. An absolute another level. I don't even think it's a debate. I know there's other guys that are out there, but if you're just talking who elevated their game the most from last year to this year, because Tyrese Maxey put himself in star category, not superstar. He's not a superstar, but he elevated his game to star status. And I don't even think that's up for debate. I don't think that's up for debate. Now we got rookie of the year. I mean, it's Wemby. I know there's going to be some people out there that say Chet. No. Wemby was better. Not on it. His team isn't near as good. I'll go, but that's not Chet's fault. So we're not blaming him for that. But Wemby, for what he can do, I think in 3 years, Wemby's going to be a superstar in this league. In 3 years, he'll be a superstar. Look, he gets the star-studded fame now because of the expectations and the hype. I think he played well this year. I think he played outstanding this year for all the hype and everything that was put on his shoulders. That's number one. I think absolutely. Once he puts on a little bit more weight, the team gets a little bit better. I don't even think that, I think he'll be a superstar. I think he is the next superstar. That's who I like. Wemby. And Wemby had a great year too. And so did Chet. That's the thing. So did Chet. I don't want people to downgrade and think that Chet didn't have a great year, because he did. He had a really good year. So, but, I don't know. I just think Wemby in itself, his overall, everything included, plus the hype, I think he's the rookie of the year this year. Then coach of the year. Look, now there were a lot of good coaches that are out there. There's a lot of good coaches out there. The one coach, and somebody brought this up to me, that can't be on the list, Doc Rivers. Lord have mercy. We could put every coach out there on this list except for Doc Rivers. Golly, he's terrible. Oh, my goodness. Just terrible. But the bottom line is, Tom Thibodeau from the Knicks, I liked him. He did an outstanding job considering what they had to deal with. They got the 2 seed with all of those injuries. But I think Jamal Mosley for the Magic, I think has to be the coach of the year. I think he has to be. Look, I love Tibbs, the coach in Oklahoma City. I think he's got to be in the running. Can't think of his name. It slips my mind right this second. But if you just look at what the Magic were last year and look what the Magic are this year. I mean, it's night and day difference. Yeah, they've gotten better players. I mean, they've drafted well. But I just think Jamal Mosley look at the Magic, I think he's the coach of the year. It was tough for me to decide between me and Tibbs. Because Thibodeau, what they did in New York to get the 2 seed, Lord have mercy. With all those injuries, dealing what they had to deal with, he finally got Julius Randle playing at a level that's acceptable. And he was playing outstanding basketball. He wasn't forcing shots all the time. I mean, Julius Randle was playing great basketball. And then for him to go down and not even come back, I mean, and they still get the 2 seed. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. So that's who I got. Now, MVP, I got Luka. Defensive player of the year, I have Wemby. 6th man of the year, I've got Monk. Most improved, Tyrese Maxey. Rookie of the year, Wemby again. Coach of the year, Jamal Mosley. Now, there was another award that the NBA does that I have no idea how you even measure it, how you decide somebody. I mean, what is the Clutch Award? I mean, what are we doing with the Clutch Award? How do you decide who is more clutch? What if they just make more game winners? If they make better decisions down the stretch? I don't even think that's an award. I mean, the NBA's reaching. What are we doing? What are we doing with the Clutch Award? Does anybody know why that's in existence? Yeah, there you go, Ricky. My man, Ricky Bobby. It's Participation Award. Exactly. Like, what are we doing? That doesn't even make sense. You give out enough awards. First of all, the NBA started naming these awards last year. Does anybody got a problem with that? Because I do. Why nobody was asking for you to name these awards? Like, nobody needed the MVP award to be the Michael Jordan MVP award. Nobody was asking for that. I mean, why are we doing that? And then you give it to Michael Jordan. He didn't even have the most MVPs. Like, what? He literally did not have the most MVP. So why are we naming the award after him? Shouldn't it be the Kareem Award? So I don't know. Sometimes the NBA make things harder than what they have to be. Like, we don't need these awards to be named after anything. That's not something that anybody's asking for. Nobody's wanting. So to continue to do that, I think it's silly. So I think it's just silly. But it is what it is. What are you going to do? What do we got, Wakan, over here on YouTube? What are your thoughts on Coach Dagenot for Coach of the Year? Another good one. There's a lot of coaches that were out there, man. I just think what Jamal Mosley did in Orlando, I think he deserves it this year. I think he deserves it. I think if Thibodeau, I think if you gave it to him, I wouldn't mind. But that's who I went with. So, I mean, Mr. Magic, no, it doesn't sound better than MVP. It sounds like a lot to say. Hey, I won the Michael Jordan MVP award. Come on. I can't. Hey, I won the MVP. Or so-and-so was the 2023 Michael Jordan MVP of the NBA. What? Come on. Yeah, it's silly. I don't know. That's just me. That's just me. But I get you, Mr. Magic. You actually are agreeing, B. It sounds better, MVP. Yeah, I won the MVP. You're exactly right. You're exactly right, Mr. Magic. I'm glad you agree. I'm glad you agree. But what do you all think, man? Anybody got any other thoughts? Think anybody else? You think I'm just way off base? I think the one that a lot of people don't agree with would be MVP. I think a lot of people think Jokic. And here's my problem with the voters of the MVP is that they hold this thing so sacred based on previous votes. Like Wilt Chamberlain doesn't have as many MVPs as he should. Okay? Because the players used to vote. And if they didn't like you, they didn't vote for you. I mean, one year Wilt averaged 55 points and 25 rebounds. That's not the MVP of the league? And it wasn't. Come on now. What are we doing? So it's like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan has 5 MVPs. You're trying to tell me that only 5 times that he played in the 15 years that he played that he was the best player, only 5 times? Get out of here. Get out of here. And that's the whole thing, is that when these voters, they think, well, we can't give it to this guy because we only gave it to him, so many times. Well, that's your fault. That is literally the voters' fault. In 1993, Michael Jordan was the MVP of the league, but they gave it to Charles Barkley. And now, I'm not saying Barkley didn't have a great year, but you're never going to convince me that he was better than Michael Jordan that year. But they give it to Barkley because, hey, he had a great year. The Suns were the number 1 seed. We'll give it to Barkley. Barkley wasn't the best player, but we're going to give it to Barkley. 1997, same thing. Or was it 97 or 98? I can't remember the year, but they gave it to Karl Malone. I think it was 97. You're telling me Karl Malone was better than Michael Jordan? Stop it. Just stop it. He had a good team. They were good.
The highest paid coach in the country.
But don't tell me that he was the best player. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. That's just the bottom line. He wasn't. He wasn't the best player. I got to fix something over here. I don't know what they did to me on TikTok, but let me fix it real quick. But yeah, so it's that kind of stuff, man. It's that kind of stuff that just drives people insane. Literally right there. It's that kind of stuff. But don't tell me that these people were better. Don't tell me that Charles Barkley was better than Jordan. Don't tell me that Karl Malone was better than Jordan. And look, it's your fault, voters. You're the ones who did this. You are the ones who did this. Very easily you could have voted for Michael Jordan to have 7 or 8 MVPs. He probably should have 8, but you didn't. It's like LeBron. How does LeBron only have 5? You're telling me that year you gave it to Derrick Rose, that he was better than LeBron James? Stop. No, he wasn't. That doesn't mean that Derrick Rose didn't have an outstanding year, but he was not a better player than LeBron James, and everybody knows that. That Kobe Bryant has 1 MVP. Are you kidding me? Kobe Bryant has 1 MVP. Steve Nash has more MVPs than Kobe Bryant. Steve Nash has as many MVPs as Kobe and Shaq combined. Get out of here. There has been no time that Steve Nash was the best player in the NBA. Not any time. And yet, here we are. He's got 2 MVPs. Kobe Bryant has 1. Stop the madness. Stop the madness. That's all I'm saying, man. And again, that's not a knock on Steve Nash. That's not a knock on any of those guys. But truth is truth. You can't tell me that at any point in time, Steve Nash was a better player than Kobe Bryant. At no point in time was Steve Nash better than Kobe Bryant. I don't care. I don't care. But yet, he's got 2 MVPs. Come on, man. What are we doing? And the criteria, is it the most valuable to your team? Because here's the one thing that I can tell you. When Steve Nash was winning those MVPs, he was extremely valuable to his team. But if you take Steve Nash off, they had a guy that came off the bench for Phoenix, Barbosa. Barbosa wasn't as good as Nash, but he was pretty daggone good. The Suns are still a playoff team with Barbosa being the starter. If you took Kobe Bryant off those Laker teams, they might not win 10 games. During that same time frame, they may not win 10 games without Kobe. So don't tell me who was more valuable to their team. Like I said, I like Steve Nash. Great player. Hall of Fame player. Was he better than Kobe Bryant? Hell no. And so they hold that hostage now because it's like, okay, like last year. I think the problem is they gave Jokic the MVP his first year, and I don't know if he should have won it. Well, then the next year, he absolutely should have won it. And then last year, he probably should have won it again. Now, I didn't disagree that they gave it to Embiid. I thought it was neck and neck, but they didn't want to give it to him 3 years in a row because there's only been one person to win it 3 years in a row. That's Larry Bird. Well, nobody thinks that Jokic is as good as Larry Bird, so we're not going to give him the MVP. Well, whose fault is that? It's you, voters. It's your fault. It's your fault. That's all I'm saying. So, but for this year, I think it's got to be Luka. I think what he's done this year, 35, 10, and almost a 10 rebound. He averaged 10.5 assists and almost 10 rebounds a game. Shooting 48% from the field. Give me Luka this year. Give me Luka. You take Luka off this Mavs team, they don't win 25 games. You take Luka off this Mavs team, they don't win 25 games, people. And I know he doesn't play any defense. But as quiet as kept, neither does Nikola Jokic. He doesn't play any defense either, if we're being honest. So that's just me. Let's move on, man. Let's move on. Again, man, everybody, keep tapping the screen if you're on TikTok. We appreciate it. I don't know what they did earlier. They shut the live down for a second. I apologize, but we're back. Keep tapping the screen. We need to get to 5,000 likes and at least 30 new follows, man. So we appreciate it. So if you're in there, we want to get some more people in here as well. So continue to tap the screen. Look, the Lakers and the Kings handled their business last night. A lot of people thought that the Lakers were going to tank, that the Lakers weren't going to win, that they said, you know what, we want to miss Denver in the first round, so we're not going to go out and win this game. And I thought that was foolish, all that talk about that, because then it became, so you want a one-game win and you're in against Sacramento or Golden State, either one, two teams that you have struggled against this year. That's not a good strategy. That's not a good strategy at all. You're better than the Pelicans. You need to go beat them. If you even want to be in the playoffs, go beat them. Don't worry about who you're going to miss. If you're going to try to get to the goals that you're trying to get to, you need to go and win and just get in. This was brought to my attention yesterday. It's better that the Lakers play the Nuggets in the first round anyway, because if you all remember, the first round series get extended. Like the first game you get like 2 days off, 2 or 3 days off after the first game to the second game. And then you get all these extra days in between for a little bit older team that can be injury prone at times. Anthony Davis, LeBron, You need those extra days in between the games. When you get down to the conference finals, you don't have all those extra days. So it's better if they're going to try to win this series, they need to try to win it now and go win now. Do I think they can beat the Nuggets? No. But I also thought if they lost last night, I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs at all because I think they get beat. I think they get beat by the Kings. The Kings have had the Lakers' number. And it doesn't matter whether they played in Sacramento or LA. They've had their number. Lakers got problems defending the perimeter. And guess who is outstanding on the perimeter? Sacramento. So, yeah, I thought it was going to be iffy no matter what. They won the game. I tell you who played well. Zion Williamson. Now, we got to find out because they still got one game against Sacramento left. What's going on with Zion? You heard left knee sort of. I think it's a hamstring or a quad tear. I think it's something bad. For him to come out of the game like that, it's got to be something bad. It's got to be something bad. He was playing outstanding. He didn't take a shot. He took one shot outside of 5 feet, a three that he missed. Everything else, he just drove to the basket. It didn't matter if LeBron was guarding him. It didn't matter if Anthony Davis was guarding him. He's just going to the hoop. If that's the Zion that we're going to get from here on out, that's who we thought we were going to get. That's who we thought we were going to get. Not the soft, pudgy, Zion that's not doing much. That's not who we thought we were going to get. I like this version of Zion. Give me that. Give me that. 40 points. Hopefully he's healthy. But I just have a horrible feeling that it's going to be something bad. That he's not going to be able to play when they play the Kings. But hopefully not. Hopefully I'm wrong. That's what I'm hoping for. But we will see. We will definitely see. But the Kings, they handled business last night. They smacked around Golden State. It was close at the half, and you thought, you know what? This is set up for Golden State to win. Klay had done nothing at the half. Steph had done nothing at the half. He had 5 points, and they were only down 4. And you're like, oh, man, Sacramento, you should be up 15. And you're thinking, well, here they come. And it got started off that way. Steph got cooking in the third quarter. But they never got the lead. They could never stop Sacramento. And then it was just over. It was just an avalanche. And they're finished. That's my thinking. I like Golden State. I thought they had a good. Here's the thing. And if we're being honest, Draymond Green cost Golden State a playoff berth. And I know what you're going to say. Well, what are you talking about, B? Well, look at the games that Draymond missed and look at what Golden State's record was in those games. Look, I'm the first person, and I've said it all along, I'm the vice president of the Draymond Green Hater Club. I don't think that man is a Hall of Famer. I think he's a good basketball player, but I don't think he's a Hall of Famer at all. I don't care. He's been an integral part of them winning titles. There's no doubt. But to be a Hall of Famer, in my book, you got to be a step above that. There's an upper echelon. Now, the NBA doesn't believe so because they let anybody in. So Draymond will get in. But all this talk about, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Really? He's on the same level as LeBron, Charles Barkley, Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson. Come on, man. Stop it. Stop it. That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. But they let anybody in. I think it's garbage, but whatever. But Draymond cost them a playoff berth because he is an integral part to them winning. And the games that he missed, if they would have just won half of the games that he missed, just half, they're in the playoffs. They're not even in the play-in. They're in the playoffs. So you want to blame somebody for not being in the playoffs, blame Draymond Green. Period. End of story. So Now, I know people are going to blame Clay for last night, and you should. That was horrific. But the reason that Golden State is not in the playoffs is Draymond Green. Period. End of story. That's just it. That's just it. But Lakers and Kings win. Lakers are in. They're the 7th seed. They take on the Nuggets. Kings, I think the Kings are going to end up beating the Pelicans. I thought whoever the winner of last night between the Kings and the Warriors, I thought both of those, whoever won, was getting into the playoffs. I thought either one, because I thought they were going to beat, whether it was the Lakers or the Pelicans, I thought either one of them was going to win. And I think the Kings, because I think the Kings are better. Now, here's the thing. The Pelicans have given the Kings problems this year. So we're going to see. But I just think that the Kings are going to eventually win this thing, man. I like the Kings. I like the Kings to get in. Let's move on, man. Again, as always, everybody, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time, Big B Daily. We are live here on YouTube. We are live on TikTok. Let me get this. My man, Adrian B. Coes. What's going on? How many older veteran teams are not in the playoffs? It's always the Thunder have the experience yet they beat all the top dogs in the NBA. I mean, I'm not sure what you mean by that, but the playoffs, experience matters. I mean, experience matters. If we're saying that experience don't matter in the playoffs, you haven't paid attention to the NBA in a long time, because absolutely experience matters. So while it's great that the Thunder are there, just be careful. Be careful. Now, if Golden State ended up being the 8th seed, I think they were going to beat the Thunder. If the Lakers were the 8th seed, I think they were going to beat the Thunder. If it's the Kings or the Pelicans, I think the Thunder are going to win. So we'll see what happens there. But experience absolutely matters in the playoffs, man. It just does. It just does. Doesn't mean there can't be an outlier. I mean, there can be an outlier, but experience has to matter, man. And it does matter. It does. It always has. It always has. So, and there's a good question. How many young, unproven teams have won an NBA title? The answer would be none. The answer to that would be none. So you can be mad about the older veteran teams making the playoffs. There's never been a young, unproven team win a title. Never. Like, never has that happened. Never. So I get what you're saying. We love the Thunder, and I love the Thunder. But experience has to matter. Experience has to matter. Let's move on. Like I said, it's the end of an era in Golden State. Somebody over here on TikTok earlier said it's not the end of an era. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but it's the end of an era. Look at what Klay Thompson did last night. Just look at Klay. No points. Did nothing. Nothing. 0 for 10. Couldn't get a layup. Couldn't get to the line. No points. He's not the same guy. We understand why. First of all, he's older. Second of all, injuries. But it happens. It happens. But he's not the same guy that he was before. That's clear. Steph is 36 years old. He's going to be 37 next year. You know, Draymond is what he is. First, personally, I thought Draymond played pretty good basketball down the stretch this year. I thought he played pretty good basketball down the stretch. But if you're relying on Draymond Green to try to get you 12 to 18 points a night, your team is terrible, because number one, he's not going to be able to do that. He's not capable of that. So that's the first thing. And your team is terrible if you're relying on that. I think they got to get younger. I think they got to start to rebuild. I know some people are saying, well, why would you throw away? You know, they weren't that far away. Well, Klay Thompson is a shell of himself. And he's a free agent. How much money are you going to allocate paying to Klay Thompson? Like, what are you going to give Klay Thompson a year. I know he said, well, I'll take less. Well, Clay, I'm sorry, my man. You have no choice but to take less. I mean, you can't go out here demanding a max deal or $20 million a year. Nobody's going to pay you that. There isn't a team in this league that is going to pay Klay Thompson in his current self $20 million a year. We had Draymond out there begging for him last night, saying, if this team doesn't take care of the players that have taken care of it. Well, what are you talking about? You've won 4 titles. He was an intricate part of that. They paid you to play. So now when you're not as good anymore, they have to continue to give you that money? For what? Why do they have to do that? I don't think they have to do that at all. So that's just my personal opinion. No, they don't. It's the end of an era. They got to start over. They got to get younger. Clay's not going to be on the team anymore. I just don't think he's going to be there. And not to mention, Golden State owner said, I'm done paying the luxury tax. And I agree. If you're not going to win, what's the point in paying the luxury tax? He could offset the luxury tax when they were going to finals, making deep playoff runs. You can offset that and actually make money. So he was fine paying it. But now you're not making the playoffs 2 out of the last 3 years. I think he's out on that. And I would be out on it too. And I think that's where he's at with it. I don't know what's going on with TikTok today. But yeah, I believe that's where the Golden State owner is at with this thing. He's just like, look, if we're not going to make the playoffs, I'm not paying this. Matter of fact, we got to start getting younger now. We got to start over. We're going to keep Steph. They got 3 years left on Draymond, which I think is a silly, insane contract that they signed him to. Why? I have no idea. But Draymond's wrong. But Draymond is usually wrong, talking about you're not going to take care of the players that have taken care of you. I think they have taken care of you. They paid you an exorbitant amount of money. It's a two-way street. And now you're asking for the organization to pay you this exorbitant amount when you're not good anymore. Sorry, that's not the way business works. No business works that way. So, because when you were at your peak, you asked for peak dollars. And guess what? You got it. You got peak dollars. So, Mike the Ruler, they know it's over. Ain't no calling KD this time. Yeah, you're right. Because the last time Golden State was in trouble, they called KD. And KD made it happen for him. Can't call KD this time. You can't call KD this time. So where they go from here will be interesting. I like Golden State. I think they got to start over. We'll see Kuminga and Moody. We'll see what they can do. We'll see what they can do in the draft. Jackson Davis, I think, is a good big man. He started getting more minutes. I thought he should have played more last night than what he did, unless he was hurt. I thought he should have gotten more minutes. That's Steve Kerr not trusting what has been working for you. All of a sudden, you get into a play-in tournament game, and now you want to shrink your bench. Doesn't make sense, especially when what has been working for you to help you get to this point, and then you go away from that. So we'll see. How long do you guys think Steve Kerr is going to be the coach? That's a big question. I got into a debate yesterday about that. How long do you think Steve Kerr is actually going to be the coach in Golden State? I don't know how long. I really don't. I don't know how long. Whether he goes somewhere else or he just stops doing it, I think he goes somewhere else before he stops doing it. I think Kerr will go somewhere else because he's going to want to prove that he can coach without Steph Curry. I think he's going to want to do that. Unless he just stays there and he's going to be a Golden State lifer. I know he just signed that new deal. Maybe he's going to be a lifer there and kind of do the pop thing. So, where do I think he goes if he goes somewhere else? I don't know. That's a good question. That's a good question. Is Steve Kerr a guy that builds a team? Like, is he a guy that, he's going to be there? There's going to be some lean years the first couple of years. And then all of a sudden he builds and builds. Because Steve Kerr hadn't been that coach. He hadn't been a coach where you're just building a roster, and you get slapped around for a couple of years. He hasn't been that. So, I don't know. You know where I'd like to see Steve Kerr? Throw him in Milwaukee. Throw Steve Kerr in Milwaukee. Because we know Doc Rivers, come on, people, what are we doing? We know Doc Rivers is done. So throw Steve Kerr in Milwaukee and see if he can get something done. See what he can do in Milwaukee. Now, I don't know that they have the pieces to play the way that Steve Kerr plays, but can Steve Kerr adapt? Can he adapt to what he has? You know what I'm saying? It's not like Giannis can't play basketball. You just don't have the multitude of three-point shooters that you have now. But can Steve Kerr adapt, or can he only play one way? I'd love to see it. Yeah, Mark Jackson got Golden State started. Absolutely. Why Mark Jackson hasn't gotten another job is absolutely ridiculous. He must have done something. I don't know. So, I don't know. I think Mark Jackson, if he wants a job, he should have a job. And I think he's pretty much said, I wanted another job. Nobody's hired me. Instead, you give Doc Rivers another chance. Like, why is Doc Rivers still a coach in the NBA? It's just crazy to me. Doc Rivers has no business coaching NBA basketball anymore. And the NBA was pretty much done with him. That's why he took the analyst job at ESPN. But even then, did we think Doc Rivers was a better NBA analyst than Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson? Like, what does Doc Rivers have on people that he keeps getting jobs? Lord have mercy. Oh, my God, this guy, everything, he gets a job over proven guy. Like, for instance, Adrian Griffin wasn't a proven head coach. But Adrian Griffin was 30-13, the same team that Doc Rivers went 17-19 with. Same team. I go 30-13. That's not good enough. Doc Rivers comes in, and they're 17-19. Somebody's going to have to explain that to me. Oh. So we'll see. Klay Thompson is not going to be Klay Thompson's not going to be with Golden State, I don't think. Because I don't think the owners, I think they're just like, no, we're done. At some point, you've got to make decisions like that. They may be unpopular, but Klay Thompson can't play like he played before. What is Klay going to be a rotational guy? Is that what we want to see? Hey, Klay, look, you can stay in Golden State, but you're going to be a rotational guy. 18, 19 minutes a night. That's all you're going to get. And at this point, that's all he deserves. You're going to be 18, 19 minutes a night. So if you want to stay for that, we're going to pay you based on that, and you can stay. If not, we love you. We'll build a statue out here one of these days, but you're done. And Klay having all that talk. Remember how mad Klay was about not being on the top 75? First of all, I didn't think Klay Thompson is a top 75 player in the NBA to begin with. Am I wrong? Does anybody think that he is? Because I don't. A guy that can't dribble. One of the greatest shooters ever. I'll give him that. But I don't think that he's one of the top 75 players in NBA history. I don't believe that. I don't believe that even a little bit. You can name 35 guards just probably off the top of your head that are better than Klay Thompson. That's my personal opinion. So it's not that Klay's bad. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but top 75 in NBA history? Come on, people. Come on now. No. No. And again, that doesn't make him a bad player. It just means that he's not top 75. And he isn't. So where do they go from here? I don't know. We shall see. We shall see. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. Like I said, I think Golden State's just got to get younger. I think they got to get younger. They got to do it fast. I mean, Steph is not getting any younger. I know he looks like he's about 28. Steph is 36. He's going to be 37 years old next year, people. He's going to be 37. Look at my man Jay Clarkson over here. Jalen Clarkson saying that Klay had a big donut. Yeah, he wasn't good last night. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that, man. So, well, we're going to shut this one down for the day, people. I appreciate everybody being here, man. Thank you as always. Again, TikTok had some issues today. I don't know what it was. But I appreciate everybody that was on TikTok. I appreciate you all being here. Thank you, guys. Hey, you get an opportunity, man. Like I said, we have, remember, Big B Daily, 9 a.m. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time. We also have instant replay that comes on. It was on last night. If you're subscribed to YouTube, go check out Instant Replay Podcast. It was funny last night. Talked about a lot of stuff. A lot of OJ talk last night. And then also, when you get an opportunity, Steelers Almighty is a new site that me and my guy, we started up. Steelers Almighty. It is on YouTube. It's on TikTok. Go and check it out. If you're not following Steelers Almighty on TikTok, go find it and go and follow. Also do the same thing on YouTube. Steelers Almighty just started last week. We just opened it up. It's brand spanking new. We need all the followers and subscribers that we can get so we can start bringing you all even more stuff. So I appreciate that. Love you guys. We'll holler at you tomorrow. Aloha.